All right, thanks. Yeah, so we only have 5 minutes, I believe. That's a lot shorter than I normally have to explain Seed. But yeah, my name is Mundi. I'm the CEO of Klang Games. We're a studio based in Berlin. We've been working on Seed for a long time. We started probably theorizing about it back in like 2007 or so, and then we kind of feel like we had the idea around 2010, and then started the company in 2013. Started writing code for Seed 2016. So yeah, it's been quite a long journey. But yeah, I want to tell you a bit about what Seed is and why we believe so much in it. Let's go here. Yeah, so Seed is kind of our attempt at bringing lots of players into the same world. So my two co-founders, Ivar and Otter, come from a game company called CCP, responsible for building EVE Online. And EVE Online did the unique thing, and still today almost completely unique, which was this element of bringing tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people into the same universe. So this is very different from what you'll see in normal massively multiplayer games like World of Warcraft or any other, really. They're sharded, it's called. So each region has thousands of shards. You'll have, your North American shards in the thousands, and each shard has about 10 to maybe 15,000 players in each shard. EVE, however, connects all of the players into a single kind of server cluster, as it's called. And the tech lead on that was actually one of the co-founders here at Klang, along with Ivar, who was one of the game designers there. They were almost for a decade each at CCP. So what we really wanted to do was, how could we make this, more approachable and broader, and bring this glorious, ecosystem that we saw in EVE to a much wider audience. And so the Seed was really built around trying to solve all the problems that come with bringing, potentially hundreds, if not millions of people into the same world. So yeah, it's all about, how do we get those people to create these large scale communities and cities and environments for one another? It's almost goes without saying that a studio could never build the vast amount of content needed to supply such a vast number of people. So, we started off with basically a planet which the entire game takes place on. So every player that's going to play Seed will join into the same single planet, which of course needs to be incredibly vast, and we'll use procedural generation to stretch across the landscape. And then we want to see these very large scale player-driven, player-built cities on the planet. Here, this is just a random image I found online, but there's tons and tons of images of these kind of futuristic cities. I think there is a certain fantasy among us humans to imagine these, far out cities, far in the future, and we've seen them, whether it's in Star Wars or Blade Runner or countless other sci-fi films, or Fifth Element, or whatever. And then, of course, there's endless concept art of these types of cities online. However, we have never achieved building and functioning actual, like the real thing, in a virtual world or otherwise. And so we've looked at a lot of these kind of cities, maybe that have been built in Minecraft and other MMOs, and they tend to be completely empty. And that's kind of where we started to wrap our heads around with it. This is really where the core of the concept comes from. They're empty because players are not continuously online. So obviously, out of your waking hours, you may spend about 10% of your time online max in a game, and that really makes it hard to build a buzzing, thriving community, because people are, they need to own their house. And so let's say we have 100 players, each owning a single house, and then 90% of them are offline all the time. Now you have a ghost town. And Ghost Town does the opposite of what we want. We want a thriving, buzzing community. And so that's when we, that's kind of, like I said, we're the core of the idea. So we thought, what if we would have kind of these AI-driven characters, and in Seed, they're called seedlings, kind of running, like living in the city 24/7. So each player basically has a family of these characters that all have their different personalities, and they live in the city 24/7. And that's how kind of society is then built up. Players are each of them kind of furnishing their own flats in these huge metropolises, and then we start to imagine a city fully player built, with every single floor of every house completely furnished, handcrafted by the players, and then a functioning society layer on top of that. And now I see I'm out of time. I was going to go into more detail about how society is going to work, but yeah, now I have to open up for questions. So maybe somebody asks the questions to reveal the next slide.
No, perfect. Thank you, Mundi, for your quick pitch on Seed, as well as your overview on what exactly Klang's vision is. As you mentioned, you don't want to end up with some sort of ghost town. So I wanted to know, how do you plan to build a kind of large and faithful community of players that are going to be interacting with the Seed game?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So I'll just use my slides actually. Basically, what we're trying to do is really focus on how do players create content for one another and help each other find roles within this matrix of roles that all help the growth of a society. Starting with the family loop, each player basically plays a certain kind of Sims-like loop there, where they want to grow their family and make sure that their family members, seedlings, are really happy and productive, so that they can put them to work and essentially get payment in return, that they can then further improve their lives and grow their family. But unlike in The Sims, you don't just go to work somewhere in the middle of, like, in some abstract, like, non-existent company. You're actually going to work for kind of the next stage in the loop there, which is for players that want to engage further, and they start building businesses to provide goods and services back to the families, and the families are providing labor in return. And so this is kind of the backbone of the kind of in societal kind of systems, how we weave players together through that economic layer. And of course, they have then a market hub where they can trade those goods back and forth. And finally, on top of all this, we then have a government layer that will basically be kind of setting the laws and setting taxes and trying to regulate and make sure that the communities thrive, and griefers are being kicked out and such. Instead of us being that government, we really want to hand that over to the players. So this, in a sense, is kind of like a country, and so we'll of course have multiple of these countries as we're doing this at a planet scale. Also, very short explanation of a complex concept, but hopefully
that is essentially an elevator pitch, isn't it? The kind of diagram you showed of the government, the citizens, etc., in the whole planet, it's quite overarching. So your vision with Klang being able to bring better life to humans by improving the relationships. What do you see kind of the future for Klang to be in terms of its integration to day-to-day lifestyle? Do you see users more and more kind of having Klang or this type of gaming concept to be part of their life? This is obviously probably a more futuristic question in terms of where we as humanity might even go as well, but just wanted to see your view on what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I hope so, for sure. That, I mean, we try to make Seed in a way where you can actually play it without having to kind of disrupt your life. Most MMOs require multiple hours a day, long sessions, and that can be quite disruptive to your life. And we want to make a product that fits into the everyday life of a person that is not maybe calling themselves a gamer. Because it's running autonomously, you can actually tap in and out for a couple of seconds at a time throughout the day. And this allows you to get both the very short session, very easy to access, very easy to play, easy to fit into your life kind of game, like you might find in hyper casual on mobile, but that depth that you may miss is there as well. So it's incredibly deep experience on top of that. by wrapping in a kind of a Web3 element there to incentivize, further, of course, we hope to see this as a viable option for people to, make a living. Of course, I see that happening more as a wealth distribution thing where, richer countries are maybe transferring wealth over to poorer countries, much bigger topic than we can cover here. Furthermore, I see us really, experimenting with politics and governments and government forms and what effect, different regulations can have on the economy. And so these are all, fascinating studies that we are really excited to see. How do, tens of thousands of players self-regulate, and we're going to learn a lot from, we allow for full-blown corruption. We allow for violence and crime. It's not a utopia. That's something that, I want to emphasize, because we want both the sweet and the bitter of society, and we want to all learn from that. And we hope our players do as well. They learn how governments work, how taxes work, how politics work, how corruptions work, how the economy works. Things that, are always for the average person, including myself, even a bit of a misty black cloud that is hard to wrap my head around. The emergence of, economies and societies is something that I think nobody on the planet has a full grasp of. So we hope to explore those concepts with Seed, and really hope that our players, academics, journalists, whoever is interested, can benefit from that.
No, I definitely think, the point of being able to experience the good and the bad and really immerse yourself within, the world of Seed is quite interesting, and hopefully will be quite eye-catching to a lot of the viewers out there as well who want to potentially, get into this kind of gaming experience, or not even, it's not, as you said, it's not really a gaming experience, right? It's a bit more than that. But anyways,
yeah, for sure.
Mundi, for your time today and explaining a bit more about Seed. I believe this will end our first session for the day. So we will be taking a short 20-minute break before we move on to our next set of amazing scale-ups that will be presenting their pitches as well. Thank you, Mundi, once again. Hopefully you can tune in to the other pitches as well, and we'll see you online and in the metaverse as well.
Thank you as well.
Great.
Ciao,
thank
ciao.
you.